Hey, thanks for clicking on the video this week. I'm gonna hop into it here in a moment. Just want to cover a couple things. I was trying to do something a little different this week with my editing and layout, but I didn't know Mid-Ohio that well, so I spent way more time practicing and adjusting the setup, and I kind of ran out of time. So once I cut out of this, there's gonna be like a slightly artistic style intro that I started working on, but unfortunately I forgot to record, or I didn't properly record the in-game audio, so it's just silent. But just maybe a sneak peek on what I'm working towards. And I'm also going to do things out of order in this video. We are going to go straight into the hot lap, minimal overlays, just one good lap. It's a 132.55. Track temp was 102 at the start of the lap, 103 at the end of the lap. I was able to get to like 132.2s, 132.3s when the track was like 96, 97. But I really think that's going to be like early in the session. By the time we actually get into the race, we're probably going to be looking at 100 plus Fahrenheit track temps. So I wanted to do something indicative of what people should likely be running. Also, congrats to anyone who used our set last week and had success in most sport. Rain was something we knew was a risk. It seems like if you did more than one race, you found rain. My race had rain, but majority of races were dry. So shout out to everyone who ran that, had success. Check out my video from that. That was a race full of mistakes. But yeah, no, thank you for watching. We're about to hit 100 subscribers. If you want to show support for the channel, subscribe. That's always super helpful and motivating. Like the video, and also share the setup when you're in a session. If you like the setup, share it with everybody. It's free and ain't paid. Like, just get it out there. Anything that makes racing better is great. But yeah, with that, let's jump right into it. Thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments what you think about the new layout, and we'll get right into it.
That was your fastest lap of the session.
Hey, thank you for jumping into the video here. We're mixing it up this week. We're going to do the hot lap first, then the track walk second. And for the track walk, I'm pretty much just going to take my hot lap and we'll watch it in slow motion outside of the car and break down each corner. So yeah, let's get into that. We'll look at the setup after the fact. And I'm going to hopefully have a qualifying setup this week in the Discord. I haven't finished it yet. This week was kind of tough for me. I had a lot of extra time to work on it this week, but I didn't know the track that well. So by the time I was learning the setup, learning the track, would get better at the track, would make adjustments to the setup. There was a lot of back and forth. I put my first iteration of the setup in the Discord like Tuesday or Wednesday this week. I'm on my third iteration now, and what I think is going to be the final set that I race with. That's going to go to Discord here in a bit. We're going to go over all that here in a moment. Then I'm going to get this video out, then work on the qualifying setup. So if you want to grab that, hop in the Discord. Link will be in the description below. But with that, let's get into it. Why are my hotkeys? Oh, keyboard's off. Okay. I said, why are my hotkeys not working? Turn 1 here, Mid-Ohio, is very tricky. I don't think, how do I say this? You can attack it a couple different ways. If somebody's pressuring you, or you want to kind of pressure somebody or make a dive on them, you can really attack turn 1, but it's going to hurt your exit. Alternatively, you can back up turn 1 and get a good run out of the corner. But if somebody's pressuring you, you might not feel comfortable doing that. The car is very on edge. It's probably the most on edge the car feels. There is a curb to the inside that you want to get close to. Do not hit it. And you're really going to want to modulate that throttle on exit. I have made some setup tweaks to mitigate that, but just the nature of the car, the nature of the turn, it's a little tricky. This lap, before I forget, lap was a 32.552. You can see there on the side, I started with a 34 flat and kind of crept my way there. Typically, anything I work on setup wise and anything I've felt with this car, lap 4, 5, 6, depending on the track, is your fast lap. And then you could typically maintain around that. You see there, I kind of get to a 32.5, then fall off. Track temp was rising quite a bit. Session started at 100 degrees Fahrenheit. My fast lap was about 102, 103 degrees Fahrenheit. And then it got up to 105 by the end. My best overall lap so far this week was a 32.2, but that was about 96, 97 degrees. So try to be mindful when you're pushing for your laps, like what the track temp is, because it's going to make a big difference. But back to turn 1, slow-mo here. I'm getting on the brakes just around, or just at the 200 meter board. When you're looking at it in the car, cockpit cam, the 200 meter board, you can't see it here. It's on my right side monitor, but it's right at my A pillar. But from there, I am going to go, let's go back to cockpit cam, or I'm sorry, is that far chase? Yep. Back to slow-mo though, but we're going to trail brake, just nice, maybe 40-35% brake pressure, easing off as we turn in. The car is really going to kind of dance around under braking. As you hit the brakes, it's going to put weight on the nose, making the nose work a little bit better, taking some grip away from the rear. We are running max downforce on the rear wing this week to kind of mitigate that, specifically for this corner. But what I like to try to do is try to keep my left sides either on the darker asphalt or just to the left of it, because as you creep up here, you're going to want to get close to that curb, but you're not going to want to hit it. I kind of missed my mark here, but by the time I am, let me go backwards here a little bit. I pretty much, once I kind of see the curbing, I get back to the throttle, but I don't get back to the throttle 100%. The back of the car is going to want to wiggle around, so you're just going to want to work your way off the corner, dance in the car, and then pretty straightforward, you're going to get all the way over to the left side. This turn, you can go from 3rd, 4th, 5th down the straightaway, or you could just stay in 4th gear. Like, you're not going to hit the rev limiter before you get to the corner. You could leave it in 4th all the way through. I got into the rhythm of going from 5th down to 3rd while shifting. Turn 2, the keyhole is 3rd gear corner, like most slower speed corners in this car. Very rarely do I recommend dropping down to 2nd gear. But you could leave it in 4th, go up to 5th. That's kind of up to you. Obviously, traffic and drafting will probably play a small role in that. But for this one, you pretty much get on the brakes really late. Slow-mo here. So I am back here just a bit. Let me go frame by frame. Pass the 3 cones. Basically my rear bumper is to the 3 cones before I start getting on the brakes. But then again, we got heavy braking, about 75-80% brake pressure. Do all your braking in a straight line. Once you start easing off the brake pedals when you can turn in, this corner is super, super comfortable once you get into a rhythm. You can use the curbing. It's not going to upset the car like most tracks do with the curbing. For some reason, this track and curbs feel really good with this car compared to other tracks, especially Portland. But yeah, you'll pretty much drive down, cut down, get to the apron or the apex, and just kind of carry your momentum. And then I'm going to back up just a bit here. For getting back to the throttle, I like to kind of align it with the billboards. So let me slow-mo here. So I'm a little early here, but typically when the billboards get to my A-pillar is when I try to get back on throttle. So that's usually what I'm looking for. And then like you just drive it out off the corner. The way the banking of the corner is, the way the car sets, the way it's kind of downhill, it's a very comfortable corner in this car. And you shouldn't really find too much trouble. If it's snapping on you on exit, you might be carrying too much speed, getting offline. But if you can attack the entry and kind of lock yourself in to the curbing, it just rolls around that corner beautifully. And then from here, pretty straightforward and a fast forward. Big long straightaway, great passing zone. I would say don't be overly aggressive making passes in the keyhole. You got this long straightaway coming up. That's the best time to kind of clear traffic. But pretty straightforward. That is turn 3 there. But as you creep up, you want to get all the way over to the left side of the track because you're going to have a right-hand corner coming up. Always aim to use all the track. And I cannot tell which camera's which. Bar chase. Okay. But now this corner is probably the most dangerous corner in the track. Turn 1 is the trickiest as far as like you really have to dance the car around. This corner, you got to get it right or you're going off. I brake before I even get to the cones to be safe. With the lower track temperature, you could kind of brake at the 4 cones or the 400 meter board. But I like to brake before it. Just if you've driven this car long enough to know, you can't get to 100% brake pressure. So I get to about 75, 80, wherever that threshold is that you can get to before locking up. And I try to maintain all of that in one straight line. Once you get to the final cone, you can start releasing brake pressure and turning in. I always try to keep myself to the inside of the darker asphalt. Here I am able to get onto the curb. Again, this track and curbs, you're safe. Well, safe for the most. But there you're going to bounce off and it's a little tricky. So I believe that was turn 4. This is turn 5. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's a lot of left, right. So you can always attack a lot more into the corner, but you're going to hurt yourself setting up for the next corner. So always be mindful of the corner that's coming up, not necessarily the corner you're at. So I don't get all the way over to the left here. I don't use up all the track because there's not enough time to get myself back across to the right to maximize turn 5. I really like to kind of use that asphalt or that darker asphalt as a reference point. I kind of get my car all the way to the edge of it, and then I start attacking back to the left. I don't really get to the curb here. This corner is over a hill crest. You're going to want to be real patient getting back up to speed. I maintain throttle in the car at all times through that corner, I believe, once I kind of get into the groove. So yeah, I brake in. Once I get kind of to the apex, I start to get to the throttle. I'm never 100% throttle, just enough to kind of balance the weight on the nose, carry a momentum. Again, you can't go from 5 to 6. You can't use all of the exit of 5 because you got to set up for 6. Coming here into 6, again, you want to get all the way over to the side, maximize the corner. 6 is probably one of the easiest of this combination because you have a little bit more of a runway coming to turn 7. Also, turn 7, let's actually switch to cockpit cam for this one. And let me see, let me open my camera tool here real quick. Camera, mic gain, let's turn that microphone down some. Okay, so for, what is this, 7? For 7 going into 8, It's kind of weird. You're going to want to obviously get close to the edge. I actually could get closer to the curb there. That yellow curb there will upset the car. It's not deadly, but it's probably one of the more dangerous curbs on the track. But you're going to kind of get over here, but then stick to the left all the way as you get to the crest of this hill. When I'm in the cockpit cam, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for that curbing on the left-hand side. And once I get there, I pretty much just hold the steering wheel straight, maybe a slight turn to the right, just because you could kind of straight line this some. And a lot of your braking going from basically 8 to 9 is done in a straight line head into the curb. As I add brake pressure, I take some wheel out of the car, just because the tires don't like to turn and brake at the same time. So you'll kind of learn to walk that dance as you brake into turn 8 or through 8 to 9. So yeah, let me back up here again. I just want to kind of confirm. You're going to come out of 6, come into 7, stick to the left-hand side. You're going to sight that curb, use that as your reference point, kind of straight line this. You're going to have to put a little bit of wheel into it, and then do your braking kind of in a straight line, head into the curb. Once you get to the curb, you're going to release some brake pressure and then trail brake all the way through turn 9 into Thunder Valley. This is kind of uphill, but the banking's away from you, so you have gravity helping you slow the car down, but the banking's trying to throw you wide. The thing that I really like about this corner is it is a crest at the end of the hill, so it's very deceptive. You want to switch cameras back here again. You want to keep your car on the darker asphalt here. You can kind of see like just a little bit of it left there in my line of sight. Because of the way this hill crest, if you swing too far wide, it's a lot like the crest at Willow Springs. It'll throw you offline and throw you into the gravel. So exit in turn 9, you really, really want to be patient. Stick to the right-hand side until you get to the crest. And then at that point, the car's going to walk itself out. So let me switch back here. Far chase. So you see I get to the crest here and then cover it and walk myself out. Turn 10 is pretty straightforward. You're going to be pretty much flat out. And what you want to do is you want to pretty much get the car lined up and the weight of the car settled. So you don't want like the weight leaned onto the left. You want to kind of like turn just enough to make a straight run in to turn. I believe this would be 11, to turn 11. But then at that point, you're just going to want to brake in a straight line. Turn 11's kind of tricky. It's not super, super tough. It's almost like turn 1, but just nowhere near as difficult. You can take it in 4th gear, low RPM 4th gear. I like to grab 3rd sometimes just to kind of give it a little extra rotation on braking. Right there, I shift just right about before the curb. You don't have to. If you hit it right, you can stay in 4th gear. Fast guys will probably keep it in 4th gear. I am just not good enough to hit it right every time. So I find the downshift. Sorry, I'm making sure my recording's still going. I've been having issues with it not recording. But yeah, I downshift to just kind of get a little extra rotation. This corner, like most corners, you don't want to attack too wide because you have to set up for the next corner. I really like turn 12. It's going to catch a lot of people off. You're going to get a lot of cars going wide here. So we just went through turn 11. Turn 12, you crest the hill coming into the corner. So you're going to want to be 3rd gear at 3rd gear with most of your braking done before you crest the hill. So you can see here, I downshift, I get my braking done. I release brake pressure as we crest the hill, just because stopping while the car's light is just a recipe for a lockup. But once the car kind of lands from that, you can put some more pressure on. Maintain your right side tires, if not your entire car, to the right of this asphalt strip. This corner tightens and tightens and tightens up. It kind of reminds me of a lot of like turn 1 and 2 in China. If you're like an F1 fan, it's just a long radius that gets tighter and tighter. and then it switches back. You're going to get a lot of people that go wide here. They're going to attack turn 11 too hard, wash out wide in 12. And I would say a danger spot is really going to be cars coming back on here. If you get a yellow flag call out from your spotter, more than likely just be wary that somebody's going to be coming back onto the track. But slow-mo here. I swing a little wider here than I'd like, but I really dragon trail brake, trying to get all the way down to the apex there. You can ride up on that curb. I was going a little quick there. The track was a little slick and greasy, but I still was able to trail brake down. Once you get to the late part of the apex of 12, you can start to get back on throttle, but the car is tossing a lot of weight around. Going from 12 to 13 is a little bit tricky. You can't just flat foot mindlessly take the corner. When you're on edge, you really got to kind of feel the weight of that car coming around. The curb here is probably one I would recommend avoiding. If you hit 12 really good, you can hit the curbing on 13 and probably be okay. But the likelihood of continually hitting turn 12 right enough to hit this curb is very slim. If you hit this curb and the car's weight's not settled, it's going to bounce you around and you're really going to hurt yourself on exit. But yeah, we're through here. You're going to switch back and then just maintain throttle. You can see I get a little bit of a counter steer there. I blipped the throttle a little bit, but that gets you back to the main straight and you're back lined up for turn 1 again. So hopefully that was helpful. New way of me doing this. Let me know what you think in the comments of the video if this was helpful watching from outside the car. From what I could see, a lot of people just watch the hot lap and that's it. I took a lot of my overlays off on the hot lap. You don't need to be looking at my face while I'm doing a hot lap. I'll probably like biting my tongue or making funny faces under braking. I want people to be able to like see a good clean lap. And if they want to stick around and watch this, awesome, thank you. If not, no worries. But with that, let's get into the setup and jump ahead here, get the car back in the shop, hit the garage. So for the setup, dry tires, looks like there's no rain this week, so we're good there. Starting pressures, 26 on the left, 25 on the right. Front ARB, we're going to keep that at 2. For tow this week, we went to negative 6/64. I think we did negative 5 last week. I found adding a little extra tow out or going negative on tow in really added a lot of stability to the car on the entry of the corner. So that felt really good. As far as fuel, my initial setup for the week was really tight. Peter caught that, so big thank you to Peter. I added a little extra. Adding the extra fuel kind of messed up my ride heights a little bit, but it was manageable. Front springs, we're looking at 1028, 2.283 inches on the perch offset on both sides, -6 on the shock, -4.4 on the camber on the left, 4.3 on the right. The reason we do that is if we do 4.4 on the right, we don't pass tech. It is really close, and I thought about just adding a couple clicks of toe in, but that was getting to be too much toe in, so we're just gonna kind of leave that there. As far as the left rear, right rear, we're looking at the same 971 springs we've been using all season. Perch offsets, 2.076, 2.087. I can't even read numbers. Left rear is 2.067, 2.087 on the right. The difference there is to kind of help balance out and get the front ride heights as close as possible. If I adjust that down, I'm sorry, wrong way. If I adjust that, that goes too low. If I try to fix it with this side, it just doesn't work. So that's just where I left it. We still have the 4 difference in shocks, so -6, -10. 3 to 4 is really the sweet spot in my mind as far as a delta between the front and rear shocks. Having the softer shocks in the rear, so the -10, really allows it to drop more weight on the nose a little quicker. Actually, I'm saying that wrong. Just forget I said anything. I'm going to do a video at the end of the season breaking down everything and how it works. I'm still wrapping around my head around some of it. And if I can't spit it off the dome, I don't understand it well enough, so we'll skip that. Rear camber 3.9. Although the toe in on the right rear, I went to plus 43. I went as high as 75. Just kind of playing around. It actually really helped the car on throttle having that toe in the rear. The problem is it built heat in the rear tires. However, the way this track is laid out, you're going to be building up a lot more heat on the left rear. So I left that the minimum toe, and I added a little bit to the right rear to give you a little more rear stability, especially in turn 1. Center off of turn 1, it's really nice. I didn't want to go too big of a split. Your left rear is still going to be hotter than your right rear. Even looking at my last session, we were 83.74. So 183 versus 174. And even with the extra half pound here, we were still a 1/10 of a pound pressure difference across. So you find the rear to be a little unstable. Maybe you bump that up to 45 or 48. I felt 43 was a good spot to add just a little bit of stability without cooking that tire. Again, fuel is at 9, the rear ARB is at 1, and this week I went max downforce on the rear. Again, turn 1 has really kind of dictated that. You have a lot of switchbacks between 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that also liked having that rear stability, so we went with that there. But yeah, no, that's the setup. I'm still working on a qualifying setup and should have that on the Discord hopefully sometime tomorrow, if not late Monday night. Feel free to jump into the Discord if you have any questions on the setup, if you want to just hang out. I've been kind of posting when I plan on racing. If my race is planned, sometimes I just hop in last minute. But yeah, no, thank you for watching the video. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Hopefully this is helpful. Let me know in the comments what you think about all the changes. And with that, have a great evening.